and to pursue his dream. All right, Eagles and Giants. I want to start this out by saying this to you here. Before we get into Eagles and Giants, the NFC playoffs now is wide open. It is wide open. There's no favorite. There is absolutely no favorite. Every team now has an issue. Before, it wasn't the Eagles with issues. Now the Eagles have issues. They got some good news today. Okay, on CJ, they got some good news. They opened up his practice window today. That's good news. Okay, Josh Sweat was in the building getting treatment. He wants to try to see when he can play. Hopefully it's the playoffs. So they got some good news today. So they now have issues like everybody else does. Theirs was just later in the year. Probably a testament to Howie Roseman building the roster the way he did. Before I get onto this, though, so prior to coming on the air here, Justin Fields isn't playing in the final game. You know why? Dual threat. Dual threat. Another dual threat quarterback not finishing the year. Had an MRI on Monday, came back positive. They're not playing him. Nathan Peterman is playing for the Bears. A kid that needs as many reps as possible. A kid that needs to play as much as possible. Dual threat doesn't last. He's out. So let's take a look at some of the dual threat quarterbacks. And by the way, the guy in Buffalo doesn't escape the conversation. K1, Kyler Murray, out till next October. Jalen Hurts, missing significant NFC seeding games, closeout games for home field advantage. Once again, the Giants don't have to play their guys, but the Eagles do. Do you know what the NFL on Fox is promoting today? The Dallas Cowboys are fighting for the NFC East crown against the Washington Commanders Sunday. They have no respect for you. You may lose this game on Sunday and be a wild card and have to go play Tom Brady. The way that this team is playing, you're not beating Tom Brady. You're not beating Tom Brady. You're not beating him. You played shit ball the last 3 weeks. You think you've played good football in the last month? I don't. Now, was that injury related? Yes, some of it. I think it's coaching. And I'm going to make this statement to you guys about your football team in 2022 in Philadelphia. The coaching staff that you have right now is not as talented as the 2017 coaching staff. That coaching staff in 2017 would have came up with a better game plan for Gardner Minshew than what this coaching staff did for Gardner Minshew in that game against the Saints. They are experienced coaches dealing with starters and backups. Their resume dictates it. They went from an MVP candidate to a backup quarterback and beat the GOAT. You have nothing on your coaching staff in Philadelphia that resembles that outside of Jeff Stoutland. Oh, gee, he was on that staff? What a shocker. Those guys came up with a completely different game plan for Nick Foles. I asked Frank Reich last night that. We changed a lot of things for Nick compared to Wentz. Just in the pass routes, we simplified it. We went with his strengths. Shit, man, your coaching staff against the Saints ran the Jalen Hurts offense. Saw it against Chicago. Nothing changed. What that tells me, you're not a very skilled offensive staff. You're not a very skilled offensive staff. Your coaching staff talks big. They talk big. Jalen Hurts, without a doubt, covers for the inability of the coaches to put a good game plan together. They're not very talented. Now, I will say this. Did they come up with the structure of the RPO for Jalen Hurts? Absolutely. But they didn't know how to manage him. They didn't know how to manage him. Ken Dorsey is managing the hits on Josh Allen right now. That's why he didn't run the ball that much in Chicago, even though the Bills ran for 238. Our guy ran 17 carries, got hurt. It's a bailout plan, not a game plan. Jalen bails you out. That's right, Pickin. This coaching staff is showing their inexperience. Josh is dead on. Jalen Hurts saves the bad play calling. He saves the bad play calling. My God almighty. Jalen Hurts' importance on that Eagle team is so magnified now, he really just may get his $45 million. Holy shit. That's if you decide to keep going with dual threat. He's not going to play every game every year. And it's going to get worse like it is in Baltimore. Jalen Hurts will not play a full season his entire career in Philly. He will not. He will not play a 16-game full season in Philadelphia. Dual threat guys don't. Shit, Steve Young didn't. Am I wrong? These guys don't last. Let's get on to the topics. The coaching staff you have concerns me. What concerns you more? Here, can I tell you why the coaching staff? Lord says Hurts' rushing attempts will go down. Well, they didn't this year. They went up. Prior to him getting hurt, he had 156 carries. He was on pace for 200 carries. That's what a running back does. Jalen Hurts' carries went up. Not down, up. Because of the bad play calling. Jalen Hurts is your bailout plan. That's why the coaches sit around going like this. And by the way, I think it's starting to take its toll in Baltimore. You can't build a team around a guy who's not going to be there every day for you. TK goes, Sills, injuries shouldn't be happening this early in Hurts' career. Imagine in year 5. Yeah, he'll be Lamar Jackson. You don't really think he's going to get healthier as he gets older. Who in their right mind would think that? With the amount of hits he takes and the inability to put Miles Sanders into a game plan, that's the even more ridiculous thing about this conversation here. I could see if you had a shit running back. You got a Pro Bowl running back. And instead of using your Pro Bowl running back, you throw your quarterback against the wall every game 18 times. Let alone the fact he gets hit in the pocket. Think of this guy gets hit more than Joe Burrow did in his rookie year. I'd say Jalen Hurts takes more hits than any quarterback in the NFL. When you put his running stats together, that's a formula for failure. Ask Andrew Luck. How do you have a Pro Bowl running back and you don't use him? He had two carries against the Saints. 2 carries against the Saints in the first half. Man, once again, I tried to figure this thing out last night, and I surely can't. I have no – dude, either your coaching staff sucks or there's more meddling going on in the game plan. I think there's too many voices in the game plan. There's nothing definitive. It can't be this. Well, if the guy's not open, Jalen, run. It can't be that. You know how we know it was that? When they had the game plan for Gardner Minshew, because you have to put more of a game plan together for Gardner Minshew. They couldn't do it. That's why they ran the same offense. These guys are very inexperienced. And on the other side of the ball, your coordinators are not who they think they are. So in the last 2 weeks, your D coordinator and all these sacks and all these rankings and all these numbers, I think it's fool's gold. I mean, how do you make Dak Prescott and Andy Dalton 75% completion percentage quarterbacks? Dak was 77%. Andy Dalton was 81%. How do you do that? Call yourself a top-flight defense. Philly goes, I remember Dennis Bird. Know Dennis well. Knew him well. Getting hurt and cried because I was the same age and realized life is precious. Pray this young man recovers. We all are. Daz, appreciate you coming aboard. McMahon ran a lot to start his career, but learned how to throw in the pocket as well. Jason, he also had Andy Reid. Little different than Shane Steichen or Shane Stinkin. That's his new name after the New Orleans offensive game plan. Shane Stinkin. He had Andy Reid. That's a little different, dude, than what you got in Philly. Shane Steichen or Andy Reid? I don't know. JV coaches versus varsity coaches is exactly right. That's what the 2000 – I am more convinced now that the 2017 Philadelphia Eagle coaching staff is a complete professional group of dudes. And this group, I don't know. It's the most inexperienced part of your football team. My concern going into the playoffs is not your players and your injuries. It's your staff dealing with those injuries. Your staff doesn't know how to move the pieces around. They have no idea. You know what the debate is this week? On whether or not to move Jordan Mailata over to right tackle. How about winning the game? They're not in playoff mode. That Eagle team is not in playoff mode. They're in concern mode. You know why? They've never been in an experience like this. A very inexperienced group. Dude, Jalen Hurts, I have complete, hey, Tone, everyone, you'll love this. I don't think I've ever said this. I have complete 100% confidence in Jalen Hurts. I have zero confidence in Shane Steichen, Jonathan Gannon, and Nick Sirianni for the playoffs. I completely do not have any expectations for these guys. I don't believe you could put a game plan together for an injured. Hey, let me ask you this. If you can't put a game plan together, this is it right here. Guys, if you can't put a game plan together for a backup quarterback to go win out a closeout game, how are you going to put a game plan together for an injured quarterback? Do you feel comfortable that Shane Steichen and Nick Sirianni, oh, by the way, you know what Nick said today? This goes into the topic. Nick said player safety is the number one essential thing. Okay, player safety. Trust me when I tell you this Damar Hamlin injury is going to bring that more into light. Are you going to play an injured Jalen Hurts this weekend after what we saw on Monday, the Tua story all year? Are you playing him? Are you really putting Jalen Hurts out there in potential harm's way if he's not 100%? And if you say yes, the league has not changed. Play the game Monday. Am I wrong? You're talking about Nick said player safety was the most essential thing today at his press conference. Okay. You're trying to tell me this Eagle team can't beat the New York Giants with Gardner Minshew versus the Giant backups? You can't put a game plan together. What's your record? You keep throwing at me? What, 13-3? A 13-3 football team with a coaching staff. Can't put, oh, by the way, Brian Dable's the best coach in the NFC East. It ain't Nick Sirianni. How many people would think that Matt LaFleur is a great coach, or is it Aaron Rodgers? You take Jalen Hurts away from Nick Sirianni, he's 1-2 with Gardner Minshew. It's becoming more and more apparent. Oh, so Jalen's 13-1. And Nick, without him, is 1-2. Got it. I got it now. Sirianni made the playoffs in his first year, inheriting a 4-win team. Yeah, Matt LaFleur won 13 ball games his first year, and I wouldn't have that guy as – that guy won 39 games in his first 3 years. You think he's a good coach? I surely do not. I surely do not. His game management, his timeout situational play calling, his clock management going into halftime and 2 minutes left in games are a lot to be desired. Look at Cheek, number 1 seed, baby. You ain't got that yet. Supposed to wrap that up 2 weeks ago, weren't you? Danko, so in the end, it's Jalen who runs this team. Dank, in the end, it's not Jalen running the team. It's Jalen's system, and no one else can run it. Jalen has taken what those – can I tell you, it's almost like schoolyard football. There's no structure to it. When the coaches had to put a structure together for Gardner Minshew, it was on display. They couldn't. Gardner Minshew running RPOs. There were defensive tackles that were outrunning him in that game last week. You think Gardner Minshew was going to get outside and get up the field and create positive yardage on third down? What were you doing running RPOs with him? How many times did you see him in them RPOs? -2, -3, -5 yards. Where Jalen gets +8, 13 yards, 11 yards. OG goes, Sirianni doesn't believe in running the ball. How could you not believe in running the ball when you're one of the top 3 teams in the NFL? My whole conversation here with you guys is that this game this weekend, the only reason that you're going to win it, because if the Giants were playing their guys, I'd take the Giants. You're not playing good ball. You think you are, you're not. You haven't been playing good football since Chicago. Coaching staff wore the quarterback out. I'm not wrong here. And supposedly today at the press conference, player safety is a priority. Okay, so that they haven't cleared Jalen to play yet? Can you imagine that? You got to play all your guys, and the Giants don't. Nate goes, you're tripping. On what? What are you talking about? You're tripping going into the playoffs. You lost to a shitty 5-win Saints team. You made Andy Dalton into an 81% completion percentage quarterback. Well, Sills, it's the injuries. I know. Let me guess, the Chiefs are playing good. Not necessarily. I think the two hottest teams in the NFL right now are the 49ers and the Bengals. Those two teams look like they're playing the best ball. I don't know. It ain't the Eagles. Eagles ain't playing the best ball. You think you're playing your best ball the last 3 weeks? Where? You're beaten by Dallas. You're beaten by a 5-win Saints team. You barely escaped the Chicago game. Where do you think you're playing well? Where do you think you're playing well? Show me. Tripping. I'm not tripping. This is a trend now. 3 games are a trend. I don't freak. You ever notice after sometimes when you guys got beat like by Washington, I didn't trip out. I didn't trip out over the Washington game. I really didn't. I thought Jalen played pretty well in that game. I thought the coaching staff, once again, were not prepared because what do you have in Washington? Well, you got Jack Del Rio and you got Ron Rivera, guy who's went to a Super Bowl, and Jack's a hell of a coordinator. Turned it around, saw what you did, made sure you had limited offensive plays and beat you. That's on the staff. Well, if the 49ers are overrated, the Eagles are too. The troops are coming back. Not what I heard today. Devonta Maddox has no sight at the end of the tunnel. Lane is not coming back. He is not. He is not. Did the Bills struggle versus the Bears too? No, they beat them 35-12. And ran the ball and were patient for 240 yards rushing. Struggle? You think 35-12 is struggling? I don't. Well, it was close going into half. That's because they didn't lose their poise. They kept their patience. Sean McDermott knew we'll catch him in the end. And they did. Remember, folks, it's not a 30-minute game. It's a 60-minute ball game. 60 minutes. It's like reading half of a book and not knowing the end. 60 minutes. He didn't throw the ball, ass wipe. He threw the ball for 152 yards in that game. That's not the truth. They ran the ball all day long against Chicago, something that the Eagles refused to do and got your quarterback injured. The Philadelphia Eagle coaching staff got that guy hurt. Look at how people are trying to match these games up. Sills, they struggled against the Raiders, but they won. You lost to the Cowboys. You lost to Washington. So this year, you've lost to Tyler Heineke and Andy Dalton. Pretty impressive. Sorry to say, man. One more time here. I'll make this point to you as clear as I can. As clear as I can. If the Giants were playing for something, they're beating you. And you're the 5th seed. And you're a wild card. And you go from having one of the most celebrated seasons in Eagle history to a turd burger. That's why I say the NFC's wide open. Ooh-wee! Eagles are the worst division leader. I would say this. Who's the worst division leader playing the worst ball right now? Bucks had one game. That's not a trend for me. Even though the Bucks beat Carolina, I'm sorry. I'm not there going that the Bucks are back yet. I want to see the Bucks put some games together. Because the Eagles have put 3 shitty ones together. Let me think. Any other division leader that sucks more? Let's see. Minnesota. They playing better than the Eagles? Probably not. So they're probably okay. I just don't trust them. The Jags are playing great. Holy shit, that's a different looking Jag team from the beginning of the year. Yeah, didn't we just look at exactly how you fall into the trap here. Look at EC1. You see that, Tone? Look at EC1 here. Didn't we destroy the Giants? You sure did. Didn't you beat the shit out of Washington in the first game? And they came back and beat you. You took apart Washington. Weren't you guys crowning about having 12 sacks in that game? What happened in the second game? What happened in the second game? What happened in the second Washington? ECT, do you know football? Yeah, here. What happened in the second Washington game? Didn't you kill them? Crowing about having all those sacks and all this and that, and Washington turns around and beats you with a guy who's on the bench. Oh, no, he's starting again. Turnovers. Oh, really? Del Rio and those guys saw what you did. They got the game plan and beat you with your own game. And end of story. Dude, Ivan, Doug Pederson, coach of the year, and Howie Roseman fired him. Howie Roseman would have fired the coach of the year. And the one deficiency that's clearly on the team this year is coaching. If you guys don't win the Super Bowl this year, or at least get to the game, and Doug gets that team, that Jaguar team, and beats Tennessee this week, he will win the Coach of the Year award. You would have fired the Coach of the Year. What do you think Doug would have done with this team? Gardner Minshew would have had a completely different game plan, and this thing would have been wrapped up, and you would have had everything in front of you. But the organization felt better to fire the Coach of the Year. Man, the Jags. I mean, if Doug had gone to like Denver and they were doing great things with Russell Wilson, I would have went, well, it's Russell Wilson. I mean, I don't know. This thing in Jacksonville last year was a complete train wreck. You had a coach at a strip club with chicks grinding on him as players flew back after losing a game. You had a coach kicking players, talking shit, giving dummies like Tim Tebow workouts, turning it into a complete freak show. Doug goes down there, air washes the walls, cleans the place out, gets the shit shovels. They're one game from the playoffs. Nobody's under the guys that they think Sirianni's a better coach than Doug Pederson, especially in the final year of Doug's time. Nothing like your general manager sabotaging you. The whole time he was trying to sabotage Doug. I completely 100% believe that now with all my heart. He sabotaged him on the way out the door. Because that's what egomaniacs do. They sabotage the room until the room is exactly built the way they want the room to be built with their people, and that's exactly what you have. Doug, Howie didn't win that Super Bowl in 2017. Doug did. Doug's ability to put a game plan together once something went wrong, like a quarterback being hurt. All of that. Sills, have you ever noticed Jalen's face on the sideline while he watches Minshew and Sirianni screw it up? He looks dumbfounded. Yeah, because you know what he's thinking, Tone? Why are you running the same offense for him that you do for me? He doesn't have the same skill set. Doug Pederson's the coach of the year. And you fired him because your GM has too much of an ego. Guy sits out front of the locker room. Even Jerry goes inside the locker room to congratulate his players. This guy's out front, right there in the front door, letting everyone know this is my team. That's my coach. I hired the coach. I hired the players. This is me. It's all me, baby. His ego is going to bring him down. His ego will bring him down again. You know why? Because guys like that, they trip on themselves. They'll do it again. Remember something. Hey, Tone, everyone. You guys give him credit for building this team in 2022, don't you? Right? He's the guy that lit it on fire. So you give him credit for building a great roster. It's his greatest accomplishment, even though he lit the place on fire. Interesting. That's not consistency. It's egomaniac. Here's context. As much as Brady and Belichick probably couldn't stand one another, they coexisted. They coexisted. Two massive egos, Tom Brady and Belichick. For 22 years, they coexisted. In Dallas, Jerry Jones, Jimmy Johnson, 5 years. Couldn't last. Bill Walsh, Carmen Policy, couldn't last. Egos are the unwinding of these teams. It always is in the end. That's what makes what they did in New England so incredible. They coexisted. These guys didn't play golf with one another and go out and were buddies. Funny, every time you guys keep bringing that record up. At one time it was 13-1, 13-2, 13-3. I mean, these closeout games are closing up. You got one left. Remember I said, we're going to find out what kind of coaching staff you have. Once Jalen went down, I went like this. We're going to find out what kind of coaching staff you have. I said, don't lose 3 straight. Well, one more to go. Do I think you lose to the Giants? Depends. If the Giants are ahead at halftime, I think they go for the win. If they're behind, they probably pull Jones and everybody and get ready for the playoffs because they can't improve their playoff seed. But I would say this to you if I'm Brian Daboll going into this game this weekend. I would do this. I don't really believe we have a Super Bowl team right now. Wouldn't it be great, though, to knock our division rival into a wild card? Get them in a wild card. And maybe I get beat in the playoffs. But I'll tell you what, I would end the season on a high note. Beating Philly and playing tough in the wild card game. Brian Daboll could win Coach of the Year. It's going to come down between Brian Daboll and Doug Pederson for the NFL Coach of the Year. This has turned into some pretty good high drama for the Eagles at the end here. What I also love is this. So what if you move Mulata over the right side? So you got an injured quarterback with a shoulder, and Dr. Grossinger yesterday wouldn't say if he needs surgery after the season. So you're going to put Andre Dillard at left tackle to block the blind side of an injured quarterback, or Jack Driscoll with Kayvon Thibodeau. Interesting. Really? You think that's good, smart football? You're going to put your lesser tackle on the blind side to protect Hurts. At least the guy in front of, if the guy pass rushes and the right tackle is not doing his job, at least the quarterback, if it's Jalen, he gets to get out of the way. He can see the rush. You can't see the rush in your blind side. Jalen would be like this with Jack. Watch this. With Jack Driscoll behind him, Jalen's here. He's right-handed. At least if the guy gets beat, Driscoll or Dillard gets beat on the right side, at least Jalen can get away from it, slide, get down, throw the ball out of bounds. At least he could see the pressure. You're going to put your lesser guy in the game with a quarterback that's coming off the IR list or coming off of being hurt with the potential of a blindside hit on your quarterback. Wow. Or are you just going to tell Jalen Hurts this? If it's not open, run. Stop making stuff up? Where? What have I said that's not true? What? Giants can't beat the Eagles? Probably. Wait a minute. With this group in Minshew? Yes, they can. Wait a minute. Look at this guy. Latif says the Giants can't beat the Eagles. Were you saying that about the Saints last week? The Saints can't beat the Eagles. Were you saying that? Dillard has shown that he could start at left tackle. He has? I haven't seen it this year. I said, jackass, I asked the doctor if he needs surgery. He may. He did a year ago. We had a doctor on yesterday. You must have missed it. Go read a book. Anybody can't beat us if Minshew is playing. Hey, or you don't have, dude, this is not the same football team that was in September. Minshew's not starting? Okay. So you can't beat the Giants without Jalen Hurts. That's some 13-2 team or whatever that. Wait, is it 3? What is it, 13 and what is it? I forget. 13-3 now? Let's see. Washington, Cowboys, Saints. Yeah, 13-3. So you can't, a 13-3 team can't beat a 9-win Giants team with Gardner Minshew versus the Giants JV guys. Then you're a fraud. Shit, Cooper Rush went 4-1. You can't come up with a game plan to beat the Giant backups with Gardner Minshew. Really? You can't. Say it with me. Say it with me. Eagle fans, say it with me. You can't beat the New York Giants and that backup team that's going to be playing against you Sunday with Gardner Minshew. Really? I think you're frauds then. I mean, you know Mike Glennon's getting in. You're going to be playing Mike Glennon again. Is he still on that team? Is Mike Glennon still on that team? I forget who's on the backup guy up there. I forget. Is it Tyrod Taylor? Is Tyrod Taylor there? Tyrod's a good player, actually. With Kansas City being 13-3 without Mahomes, I don't have no idea what your point is. No, they wouldn't be. Okay? So you're saying your football team that you have right? Yeah, no, I agree. I think without Jalen Hurts, you're 9-8 again. Absolutely. You're 9-8. That coaching staff, 9-8. Without Jalen Hurts, you're not a championship football team. That's a fact. You've been calling the Eagles frauds all year. I said all year that they were making it to the Super Bowl and playing the Bills and losing to the Bills in the Super Bowl. Ron, that's not what I've been saying. I've been saying they've been playing frauds. And they have to have the perfect game to win games. They're not an except the teams that they've beaten this year to put some of these numbers up. Hey, Tone. Comment inside the box here. Tone, do you think that the Eagles have the best corners in the league? Do you guys out there think that the Eagles have the best corners in the league? Yes or no? Joseph, yes. You guys think you have the best corners in the National Football League? With Bradbury and Slay. Afternoon, John. Scooter goes no. Top tier duo for sure. I think Gannon holds them back. How can you have the top corners when you don't play man coverage? How can you surrender man coverage and play almost strictly zone and call yourself the best duo? How? How do you call yourself the best cornerbacks when you're afraid to play man? Can you imagine Dion in his zone coverage? or Darrelle Revis or Rod Woodson or any of the elite corners in the game like Jalen Ramsey and them guys playing zone defense and calling yourself a great corner. You're not a great corner, man, playing zone defense. Zone defense. You're a great cornerback. We have the best corners in the game. No. Well, if you do, your coordinator is a horrible defensive coordinator. And that's why every quarterback that's worth the shit lights you up. He's a zone guy. That's what they did, jackass. They gave up 3 number ones for Jalen Ramsey because he's a zone corner. I know Raheem Morris. Raheem was the head football coach in Tampa. We're dear friends. He's not a zone defensive coordinator. Zone coverage. Hey, I'm going to give up 3 first-rounders for Jalen Ramsey to the Jags for a zone cover corner. Yeah. Right. That'll work. You're fired. Step into my office. You're fired. Andy Dalton, 81%. Dak the week previous, 77%. This guy, Jonathan Gannon, man. Make Mike Glennon. I don't know, Mike. But Andy Dalton and Andy Dalton looked like he was Drew Brees. We know Gannon's a horrible coordinator. Oh, no, man. Not by the broadcasters. These guys are just touting him up and telling me how great a coordinator he is. Same thing with Shane Steichen. Dude, these guys are not that good, man. Your general manager fired an entire group of coaches that were excellent coaches. He fired a group that he shouldn't have fired. Howie Roseman, in my opinion, he built the team in his image for sure because he got rid of one of the most important parts of this team. That was that Super Bowl coaching staff. No one gives him shit for that because you know why? They're winning. But it'll come to a head here. It's coming to a head now. You see it. They're not good coaches. They talk a good game. If Gannon lets Slay and Bradbury play more man concepts, the defense will go to another level. Yeah, you're afraid of their safeties, though. And get this, Jonathan Gannon is a defensive back coach. This guy's a DB coach. He's a DB coach. It's not like he's a linebacker coach being a coordinator or a D-line coach. He's a defensive back coach. He should know strengths and weaknesses of what a skilled set system looks like. And when he couldn't figure out how to stop the run, he ran to the general manager to go get Joseph and Sue. Come on, man. This is too easy. It's too easy. But you know why it's easy? Any idiot could see it. I'm not the smartest rock in the ocean, bro. Any idiot can see what's going on here. That's why every press conference and a post game that Nick gets to ask questions, he can't answer them because he doesn't have the answers. He's got to talk to his boss. Here's another example of that. You know why the Cowboys don't go anywhere? So Jerry Jones went on his radio show this morning, and he goes like this. We're playing all of our starters this weekend against Washington. Nobody's sitting. That's the head coach's responsibility, not the owner/GM. That's not his responsibility. That's Mike McCarthy's. You undermine all decision-making processes inside the Dallas Cowboy locker room when everyone looks at the Cowboy coach and goes, this guy has no say in this whole scheme of things. He has no say. Mike McCarthy has no say. And when things go sideways, they blame him, not Jerry, because Jerry pays them. That dynamic has undermined the Dallas Cowboys for the last 28 years. That one dynamic. Head coach has no say in the building. Why should I give a shit what he says when we're practicing? You want to know why the Dallas Cowboys lead the league every year almost in penalties? They're an undisciplined team. Because no discipline comes to the players because the coach has no say. There's zero discipline on the Cowboys, and it has been for 27 years. Am I wrong? Look at Tank. Cowboys have a 15-2 roster and an 8-9 coach. Amen. 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 But the 8-9 coach, Tank, takes a knee to the owner. He gets out his knee pads, and he's grateful for his job. You understand, Tank? When you take the Dallas Cowboy job, it comes with a set of knee pads. One says Jerry, and the other one says Jones. You got a set of knee pads. Right? Comes with knee pads. I hear they pass out like assorted sets. Jerry, Jones, and they're like in cowboy blue and, white, One's got Jerry's face. The other one's got, the stadium on it. These knee pads are really great from what I hear. I mean, some of my favorite people have had them knee pads on. Dave Campo. The only guys that really never had to wear the knee pads were Jimmy and Parcells. The rest of them, it was like a Christmas gift. Shit, Jason Garrett has got his catcher's mask on when he goes and sees Jerry. Oh, Tone. Same thing with the Eagles. Howie gave out knee pads, and Dougie P said, no, thank you. Oh, no, Tone. Tone's in with me. Tone's in with me. Here's the job interview. Tone, you'll like this. Hey, this is Howie Roseman, and we're looking for a new head coach. Will you be willing to wear the Howie Roseman knee pads? Man, I don't think so. Thanks for stopping by. Hey, Nick, would you like to wear the Howie Roseman knee pads? Sure. You're my guy, my kind of guy. Here, I'll send you a set every month. I hear he got a great set of knee pads for Christmas. Doug goes like this, man. Nah, I'll take mine down to Jacksonville. As long as it comes with a helmet. And Nick goes like, hey, guess what? Doug goes like this. Nah, man, I don't have to wear knee pads. I won a Super Bowl, dude. I'll take my Future Coach of the Year award with me down to Jacksonville. Nick's got a pair of knee pads. Scrape them knees up. Yeah, I thought I could have swore I saw him when he was screaming at the fans. Hey, Tone, wasn't he trying to start the wave? I think that was Indianapolis, right? He's trying to start the wave. Giants will sit players. You're lucky. You're lucky. Eagles by the numbers. Some pretty impressive numbers here by the guys. Week 18 of the National Football League. This Giants team, what to expect this weekend. A bit more on what the NFL should do with the Bills and Bengals game. The playoffs, I think, are going to be exceptional. That was great news today at the press conference that Sirianni had that CJ's coming back. Will Tua ever play again? We got a bunch of stuff. Please hit the like button. Hour number 2. Don't forget also our NFL insider who has been talking to league officials, Jason Cole, 5:30 Eastern. He's got a little bit of an insight on what he thinks the league is going to do. He's been talking to a couple of the people on Park Avenue, so we'll get a little insight on that. That'll be in hour number 3. Hit the like button. Hour 2 coming up. Keep it here on the National Football Show.